Bon matin. Every morning I've woken up as Prime Minister, I've been inspired by the resilience, the generosity, and the determination of Canadians. It is the driving force of every single day I have the privilege of serving in this office. That is why, since 2015, I've fought for this country, for you, to strengthen and grow the middle class. Why we rallied to support each other through the pandemic, to advance reconciliation, to defend free trade on this continent, to stand strong with Ukraine and our democracy, and to fight climate change and get our economy ready for the future. We are at a critical moment in the world. You all know I'm a fighter. Every bone in my body has always told me to fight because I care deeply about Canadians, I care deeply about this country, and I will always be motivated by what is in the best interest of Canadians. And the fact is, despite best efforts to work through it, Parliament has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in Canadian history. That's why this morning I advised the Governor-General that we need a new session of Parliament. She has granted this request, and the House will now be prorogued until March 24th. Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Were there any signs? Was there anything out there that could tip you off that this man would say, you know what? All the king's horses, all the king's men, Humpty Dumpty, keeping me together again. New age nursery rhyme. And why would I say that? Well, he met with Donald J. Trump in Mar-a-Lago. And I had one of those all eyes on me moment. I did a video on it in part. Just around the time that Trump also went after the Mexican president and somebody else. I did a video, it's like the trifecta. I think within 3 weeks, Trump had went after 3 different places. And when I saw the Mar-a-Lago meeting, I was like, you know, my man went in history. I was like, Pearson, you know what? Trudeau and Trump, they don't line up. They just don't line up. And Trump is back up in there. Trudeau has been there, I think, 11 years. And Trudeau already made a name for himself back in the day. You guys probably remember back in the day, I did a story on that on my last channel, Friendship Pearson. Remember he had went after the credit cards of, or the bank accounts, something like that, of the truck drivers. Remember that? They couldn't go and They couldn't buy what they needed to buy because of what was going down at the time. You can Google it. I think it's a subject I can't talk about, but this dude went extreme. And the economy started going bad, and you know, I look at people in position, I just shake my head. That's why when I did that video this morning about Joe Biden, I'm like, you know what? To make change too quick, and then you don't provide people with equal or better jobs or give them another skill. You just come in and shut down this and shut down that and block this and block that. You know, people have had enough of these strong-armed politicians. And, you know, the pressure's on. And sometimes it takes a situation like Trump to come in and say, hey, you know what? Irregardless of what you're going through over there, brother, tongue-in-cheek, you out of 51st city. What did Trump say? He called Canada the 51st state. But the bottom line is, bro, you know what? You on your own, man. I'm gonna hit you with a 25% tariff. And that was all she wrote. But I want to give you a little history, people, so you can put this in perspective. Because I'm not so sure the media's going to give you a perspective and some numbers. That's why that's what I intend on giving you here. So check it out.
Times, Martha, but the political writing was on the wall when the Conservative Party took a 20-point lead over the Liberal Party in the upcoming election. Well, I think what's fascinating about this is looking at what I think broadly you can say is the end of the Obama era here at home and also in international politics, and the rebirth again here of the Trump era and the kind of pressure that we're seeing in other countries for more conservative movement. You've got 27 countries in the EU that have moved to the right. Here at home, 90% of counties moved to the right. And when you think about Trudeau, you think about him, the blockade, the truckers' blockade against the vaccine mandates in Canada. You think about his constant push for climate change while housing prices were rising and inflation was rising in Canada, being out of touch essentially with what was on people's minds and what was concerning Canadians. And so he's paying the price for that. I think we're seeing a lot of foreign leaders pay the price for that. There is this Pierre Poilievre who is likely, you know...
People are tired of the foolishness, people. People are tired of the foolishness. So, you know, in other words, you ain't got a leg to stand on. Now, remember, this is part of the video that I did. This is a segment that I have in a video that I did in relation to him going to Mar-a-Lago. There he is. He's smiling for the camera. Check it out.
Justin Trudeau spotted in Palm Beach, Florida Friday night, meeting with President-elect Donald Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate. Trudeau following through on this commitment made hours before.
We're going to work together to meet some of the concerns.
As pressure mounts on the Prime Minister to persuade the President-elect to drop his threat to impose a 25% tariff on goods imported from Canada and Mexico, unless the U.S.'s two neighbors curb the flow of undocumented migrants and drugs across its borders.
He'd actually be raising prices for American citizens.
The meeting with Trudeau comes just 2 days after the president-elect's call with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, after which he claimed she has agreed to stop migration through Mexico, effectively closing our southern border. But the Mexican president disputes that, saying Mexico's position is not to close borders but to build bridges. Sheinbaum describing the conversation as pleasant and adding the two did not discuss tariffs.
So, guess what? I just had a feeling, you know what, baby, you might be next. I just had that feeling like, you know what? She been back and forth like a ping pong ball. She new to the game, y'all. I say she new to the game. Justin been around for a while. She better wake up and smell it. Look, we got what? 14 more days. I'm right here in Chi-Town, Chicago. And not too far from me, there is a migrant residence with over 1,600, who knows, people up in there. And my neighborhood is tired of it. And the south side and west side tired of the same thing. We want change, folks want Trump. That's all to it. And that is the trend. The trend is y'all had y'all moment. Even y'all, folks from overseas, y'all had y'all moment. It's a new day, baby. It's a new day. Either you get with the program or do like Trudeau did. Get on out. Look, was Trump going to actually do a 25% tariff thing? Well, it's the art of the deal. Scare the hell out of them and go from there. You know what I'm saying? In other words, get out the kitchen because I'm coming. So now, I'm going to hit it home with these next two videos. Here it is here, the former finance minister in Canada, she resigned. She like, hey, big dog, look. I've been around the block for a while. We can't afford this 25% hit. You need to figure out something else, okay? We need to figure something else out. And so Trudeau offered her another position. This lady right here. She said, I'm out. So she resigned. That was like 3 weeks ago. When I saw that, I was like, okay, handwriting on the wall. Now watch this here.
Which one, but that her only honest path, she says, was to resign. Now, Freeland had a very broad portfolio. She was a key advisor to Trudeau for years now, first as his foreign minister, then more recently as his finance minister. She was the top negotiator for Canada during the first Trump term on trade issues. She was regularly here in Washington for those NAFTA talks. She also pushed to make sure that Canada would not be hit in that first term with Trump's tariffs on steel and aluminum. Now she says that she and Trudeau were at odds in recent weeks about the best path forward for Canada, including over how to handle what she called the grave threat of aggressive economic nationalism from the incoming administration. She goes on to say in the letter that Canada needs to take the threat of tariffs extremely seriously, including by keeping its fiscal powder dry today, so we have the reserves we may need for a coming tariff war. Now, Tyler, all of this appears to have come as a shock in Canada. CTV is reporting up there as well that Trudeau himself has conveyed to his cabinet he is considering resigning. No clarity on that yet, but it does.
So that was 3 weeks ago. After she left, old boy's like, hey, that was the rumor. I'm about to get up out of here too. Hey, it is what it is. Now, this one will really blow your mind as well. This is Emma, African Diaspora News. Listen to this perspective, and I think you'll have exactly what you need to put this whole thing in perspective. Here we go.
He has the nerve to slam America for not electing a woman as the President of the United States. Take a look.
We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always...
People, I don't get the choice of words here. Listen to this again. Well, he will always be that. What is he trying to say?
And subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
You know what this is all about? This is all about the fact that Trudeau knows he is no match for Trump. And he knew that when he flew down to Mar-a-Lago to grovel over the 25% tariff that Trump intends to impose upon Canada on January 20th or the 21st, somewhere around that date.
Now, people, now you got this thing in context, you can understand why he got out of Dodge. You don't bite the hand, okay? You go and meet with Trump and then you go and say that, what? America elected a female? This dude, what do you expect Trump to do now? Not put no more pressure on you? Maybe he wanted to resign after that. Maybe he wanted to leave it alone. Maybe I got the wrong perspective. Maybe he was tired. So I'm gonna say how I feel. I'm liberal, I'm woke. You put a man up there, I wanted a woman. Let me show y'all something here. We're already, Trudeau travels to Florida to meet with Trump and Mar-a-Lago after speaking against the terrorists. All right? Smile like Eddie Murphy, right? I'm sure Trump let him know, baby, look, you're gonna have to get with the program because America caught hell during the Biden administration. And this border crisis we got, you need to take it seriously, like yesterday. Trump might have been sitting up there smiling at the meeting that they had, but behind closed doors, once they sit up there smiling and whatnot. But I heard the meeting was a few hours, so I would assume Trump just told him, look, thanks for coming, but this is how I go. Okay? This is how it's gonna go. And like I said, I can't wait till 14 days from now because Trump's Homeland Security Director, he said Chicago is ground zero to start where they're gonna be getting rid of migrants. So I'll be out there with my camera doing it live. I'm gonna see for myself. Let's see what pops off. Now, look here. On July 1st, 1867, that's when Canada was founded, July 1st. Now watch this perspective, because the power is in on this thing too. Watch the numbers. July 1st. Take July 1st, 2024, the last birthday of Canada, versus today, 1/6/2025, Trudeau resigns. The difference, people, is 189 days apart between the anniversary of Canada versus today's resignation. And what's 189? The 189th day of the year, people, is July 8th. 7/8. Okay? Now what's 7/8? You know the answer to that. You know the answer to that. Donald Trump is 78 years old. Come on now. Is it in the stars? I just know the numbers went. Look. I don't think the man had a choice other than act right. Or hey, let the door hit you. Now check this out. Trudeau assumed office November 4th of 2015. November 4th. Take November 4th of 2024, the anniversary, versus 1/20 of 2025, when Trump becomes inaugurated that day. The difference, people, is 78 days. I already told you what 78 is. Trump is 78 years old. How is that possible? That coincidence? You look at it like this. Justin Trudeau was born December 25th, 1971. Yeah, he's Santa Claus, baby. So December 25th. Take 12/25 of 2025, his next birthday, versus 7/13, the day that Trump had the ear issue in Butler, Pennsylvania, anniversary being 2025, as opposed to 2024. The difference, people, is 165 days. Make it clear to you again. Justin Trudeau's next birthday, 12/25 of 2025, versus the anniversary of Butler, Pennsylvania, when Trump got hit in the ear, 7/13/2025. The difference is 165 days. What's 165? The 165th day of the year, people? Well, first of all, the 165th day of the year is June 14th. Okay? June 14th. And Donald Trump was born June 14th. But in relation to the Butler, Pennsylvania situation, that's the bottom line right there. How do all these numbers align? What's really going on? You think the powers don't work internationally? You think the powers don't give these people notice ahead of time? I look at it like all the king's horses and all the king's men, they're going to either be shuffled around or they got to go, because they want a one world system And they want the right people in place with no resistance to do what they got to do. So in the media and out in the public, they couch or frame a narrative, a story. And then, like in this situation, months or whatever so later, he's gone. And X amount of days later, after he meets with Mar-a-Lago, he's gone. But they had to create a narrative so you could be like, okay, now I understand why. People, that's what they do. They deliberately create stories to show us why a person's got to go. But really, they was gonna take him out anyway. So they had to make it look a certain way. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was part of the game. This is a very, very peculiar world we live in. And I've been decoding for a long time, and I can tell you, as I pick apart these stories and I look at things, I'm like, Pierce, you know what? I see what they're not saying. And I see that why they had to develop the story that way. That way, Trump looks a certain way, he looks a certain way. And the bottom line is, you're not thinking that it's a move a certain way because, hey, and the story will be told, believe it or not, allegedly, in the person that takes his place. You feel me? It's no different from any other administration in America where we affect countries overseas, or let's say there's a coup d'etat overseas in a foreign country, and all of a sudden somebody's in position. Well, they're in position because certain people wanted them to be in position. When I did the story on the lady from Mexico, right? I did about 2 videos on her? I mean, over the last 2 years, how many politicians were murdered in Mexico? And how many folks, I think died also, who were running for the office that she's got. You feel me? How many people wind up dead or not running at all, and all of a sudden she gets the position? Because we're going into a one world system, and they want the people up in there that they want. Now this here allegedly was a brutal way to get it. Allegedly. That's how it was done. But this situation here, I'm sure he'll take this route any day of the week. Oh, I gotta go? Okay. What role do I have to play? So they played the role. He played a role, everybody played a role. And now he gone. And we're going down our merry way. And now you got a right to your own opinion. Put it in the comment section. Because the only other way is that he hurt himself. Who would meet with Trump and then go on TikTok and say we should have picked a woman? That's kind of dumb, ain't it? You think Trump didn't hear about the TikTok that he made? Come on, man. So every day, whether it's people political, religious, economics, 'cause a lot of people in economics, ever since crypto started, coming more into prominence, a lot of folks ain't here, not here around. They're not around, or they dropped off the face of the earth. Put it in the way you want to put it. So all these areas, I believe the powers want their key people in position. So when it's time to say, hey, let's move, they're going to move on it. I'm Friend Shot Pearson. Hope you like the perspective. Thumbs up, share the video. God bless America. We'll see who replaces Trudeau. We'll decode whoever replaces Trudeau. God bless. And it will all make sense by then. allegedly. Good night.